So if you're watching this video, you probably want to know how the United States government works. But before I tell you about the United States government, I want to educate you on a man that was indirectly integral to the development of the United States Constitution, and his name is Charles Montesquieu. So, Charles Montesquieu was born this long name right here, but he's most commonly just referred to as Montesquieu. He was born in 1689 in France and he died in 1755. Charles was a French judge, a man of letters, and a significant political philosopher. His most notable ideas were the separation of states of powers and the classification of systems of government based on their principles. So we're going to look further on at some of his most notable ideas as we discuss the United States and its government. The first school of Charles Montesquieu's political philosophy that we are going to look at is the separation of powers, and this is the format of government that is used in the United States. Montesquieu created the idea of the separation of powers in the 18th century because he was living in France, he was a French judge, and he did not agree with the monarchy of France. So he believed that there should be three branches of government, and these were the legislative, the executive, and a judiciary branch. And this was because he believed that there should be checks and balances in government, that power should not be concentrated but separated. At the time, not many nations, not even France, adapted Montesquieu's philosophy. However, James Madison, a well-recognized founding father of the Constitution in the United States, put the philosophy into place. And that was the foundation of the government in the United States. In every government, there are three sorts of power: the legislative, the judiciary in respect to things dependent on the law of nations, and the executive in regard to matters that depend on the civil law. This was stated in the Spirit of the Laws book written by Montesquieu. The legislative branch is arguably the most powerful branch in government, and it is responsible for making laws, declaring wars, and regulating taxes and foreign commerce. In the United States, the legislative branch is made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and these two together make up the Congress. The executive branch of the government is made up by the president, the vice president, and other cabinet members. The responsibilities of the executive branch includes veto or rejecting proposals for a law, appointing federal posts such as members of government agencies, and negotiating foreign treaties with other countries. The third branch that was proposed by Montesquieu is the judicial branch, and the judicial branch oversees deciding the meaning of laws, how to apply them to real situations, and whether a law breaks the rules of the Constitution. The Constitution is the highest law of the United States, and the Supreme Court is the highest court in the judicial branch. The second principle that we're going to look at is individual liberty and what it meant to Montesquieu. What Montesquieu believed about individual liberty was that each person had the right to their own thoughts, to their own behaviors, to their own political views without being oppressed by the government. However, as long as these views and behaviors were within the law, he clearly stated that liberty was not freedom, because if people were given freedom, they would do anything they pleased, and this would not categorize under the rule of the law. So he clearly stated that there was a difference between liberty and freedom. In the United States today, liberties make up the Bill of Rights, and some of the things that fall under the Bill of Rights include freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and the right to privacy. The third principle that we're going to be looking at is legitimacy of government. Legitimacy of government is basically the acceptance of authority by the persons being governed. Montesquieu believed that there should be limits on powers of government to ensure that the government is legitimate. And that is why he came up with the separation of powers philosophy. These were Montesquieu's views on government, and you can see in the United States today where Montesquieu's philosophy is adapted and utilized, and even other countries like Canada and New Zealand use Montesquieu's philosophy.